Yeah, and you know what's funny is he reached out to me about training together and getting some work in, which I told him, man, I would definitely like to do. I think it'd be good for me, for my career. I think it'd be a good test for him. And
Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now. Dustin, man, yesterday, insane fight card. What'd you just think of the whole? It was just like every back to like it was insane, right?
oh, dude, it was a great card. UFC 290 lived up to the hype. It was one of the best international fight week cards they've put together. The fights delivered. I think there was a record-setting. I think was it 4 or 5 fights that ended in under a minute.
Yeah,
And phenomenal card, man. It was cool. Got me hyped for my fight here in a month.
definitely, and the whole. I think a lot of people, they love the fights, but now they're talking about the aftermath, right? And the whole Izzy and Dricus Duplessis post fight in the cage altercation. I just want to get your thoughts on like what you thought of that and what happened.
Honestly, I don't think it was a good look, man. And I don't think the UFC should be sending guys in the octagon right after another guy just finished up a fight, man. He just went to war with a very tough opponent in Robert Whitaker. He's still elated in there. He's still coming down from that high that he was on, and then they throw, Izzy in his face, and it's just not a good look. I'm not a big fan of that. I think you let DDP enjoy that moment, enjoy the victory, and then you got plenty of time to hype the fight up and when those guys fight. So I'm just not a big fan of the UFC putting guys into the cage like that. It's more like WWE and just kind of seems like fake hype, and it's not as real and authentic. And there's a lot of people bashing Izzy. It was kind of a bad look on his part, and that never needed to happen. I just don't think it needed to happen at all.
Do you feel like DDP has a good chance against Izzy?
Well, I tell you what, man, he's impressed me. He's done really well. Every time I watch him, I'm like, man, I should go back down to 85. I would fight guys like that, and I think I could beat him. But I tell you what, last night, man, he made me a believer. He really did. I think that he's got some skill. He's definitely got some grit and some determination about him, and he's very willing and determined. So, of course, everybody when they step in there, they've got a chance, And Izzy, he's very good stand up. He's very good at using his distance. But DDP, I could see him just crashing and kind of like a car crash. What we've been working on at gym and getting the victory that way. Who knows?
Who knows for real? 85, is that ever a possibility for you?
Oh, it's definitely a possibility. It's just not something that I think I'm over that. I fought the majority of my career at 185, and I think I'm just a better fighter at 205. When I cut that weight, I can do it easily. I never missed weight. The problem is I'm just not the same fighter. I feel I'm a little bit slower. The weight cut affects me a little differently than it does at 205, and guys are just quicker at 185.
Yeah, and also longevity, man. I feel like health is such an important factor and brain health as well, man. How careful are you with that?
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's a real thing. I mean, you've been in this sport for a really long time, and you've taken some damage, and then you throw the weight cuts on top of that. I just don't think it's a good idea for people to cut big amounts of weight. I mean, I did it early in my career, maybe when you're a little bit younger, but as you get older, you got to take care of your body a little bit better and treat your body right, man. It's your temple, and you notice, I'm in my mid 30s now. I don't recover the way I did at 25, 10 years ago, and time goes fast, man. So you got to take care of the body.
Have you ever had a weight cut where you kind of got to the point where you're like, okay, this is just too crazy. Like I just feel it. Like people, fighters talk about like they could hear their heart beating, like scary shit.
Yeah, I've had a couple of them. I recall fighting David Branch in the World Series of Fighting, and I remember that was my hardest cut for sure. And another thing I tell the guys at the gym, man, you have to make sure you're drinking at least 1 gallon of water a day. And if you get that first gallon in, anything after that, in my opinion, is just a cherry on top. It's good for you. It helps to get more than a gallon. But if you get at least a gallon, the times that I really struggle with my weight cut is when I didn't quite get that full gallon of water within the week of the weight cut, and it was very evident that that was the cause of me coming close to making weight or not.
You're such a valuable asset to the younger fighters at your gym because you're a two sport athlete, right? Basically, and you've been through the ringer, so to say. So there's so much experience. So if they're doing something wrong, they could actually just come and ask you, like, "Hey, I have this situation." You could tell them what's up.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And martial arts, like Robbie said it best this weekend. I was watching him. I trained with Robbie at the beginning of my career at the Hit Squad at Hughes Intensive Training and Matt Hughes' gym under Mark Fiore, and it was awesome. But Robbie said it. He said martial arts is a form of the way I look at it is giving back. And yeah, like you said, man, I've got a lot of young kids on our team at Factory X, a lot of up and comers, guys that we have a ton of guys in the UFC, but we have a ton of guys that aren't quite in the UFC yet that are going to be a big name in the UFC and do very well for themselves. So that's what I'm there for, man. As I'm towards the end, in the big picture, towards the end of my career, to be able to help those guys and give back to them and just give them the tidbits that I know.
Definitely, and it's not over yet. August 5th, you're back in action, Nashville, Tennessee. Kennedy Nzechukwu, what do you think of him, man, in the matchup?
I think he's a very tough opponent. He's a big, strong guy. He's on the rise right now. He's a cool dude too. I've been around him several times between my fights and his fights and teammates fighting, and I like the way he carries himself. And I think he's going to be a tough competitor, man. And like I said, he's real long. He mixes it up well, and he's going to bring the fight. So I'm really looking forward to the challenge and defending my spot in the top 15. That's where I really thrive and defend my spot.
Definitely, and you go from a guy in your last fight, which was 5'10", to a guy that's 6'5". There's a huge difference, right? The body types is weird. It's crazy.
Well, I tell you what, and that goes back to asking if I'd fight at 185, man. That the last guy fought, Askar Murzakanov, I mean, he was super quick. And when I stared him down at weigh-ins, I'm like, man, this guy is not big at all. But he's solid. I knew he was very solid. I knew he was very powerful. What surprised me was how freaking quick he was. He was incredibly fast. And obviously he's got the power, man. He's got 9, 10 knockouts, whatever it is, in his 14 victories and that just really threw me off. And when I say I'm a better fighter at 205, I'm a better fighter when I fight bigger people. I enjoy fighting bigger guys. I feel like I'm the quicker guy. I feel like I stay coiled and I pounce well and I beat him to the punch. And Kennedy's a guy that he's shown in his fights he can get clipped, and he's been caught before, and you have to be careful because he turns it up. When he gets caught, he's a guy that's down but never out. That's when he's had some of his biggest wins is after getting caught. But he's a guy that kind of has a button that's been exposed, and I'm going to do my best to land right on that button.
Yeah, I think speed is a major factor in their differences, right? Like Azamat, he's very fast, like you said. He's quick. Kennedy, he's more of a guy that's kind of like marching forward, not the fastest.
Yeah, I agree. That's going to be a key factor in what I am able to do to him in there, and what I wasn't able to do with Azamat. Again, his quickness really surprised me. And if you watch that fight, man, I was 15 seconds away, arguably, from winning. I mean, he dropped me at the end of the second round with 15 seconds left in the round. Of course, I hopped back up, but it was enough to steal the victory. He won the first two rounds, and I finished the fight really strong in that third round. And it's just unfortunate, man. But I got to keep my head up. I got to keep walking tall and defend my spot. I'm still in the top 15, and I'm really looking forward to this matchup with Kennedy.
4-ounce gloves, man. Anything could happen in those things, huh?
Oh, no doubt, man. You saw it this weekend. You see it every weekend, man. It's a crazy game we play, man. There's so many different ways to win, so many different ways to lose, and the level of competition at the top is so fierce and so incredibly difficult to navigate, especially in those 4-ounce gloves when you get clipped, being able to come back and recover and finish the fight. That co-main event this weekend was incredible. Moreno gets dropped early, and the way he came back, I think Ben Askren said it best on Twitter. I saw he put Moreno. He feels like Moreno won the fight but lost on the scorecards. Pantoja won on the scorecards, and I think that was a great explanation of the fight. I thought Moreno won the fight, but I thought Pantoja won on the scorecards. If that makes sense. So very crazy game we play.
We see that all the time in fighting, though. Like someone wins on the scorecards, but they won the fight. You know what I mean? Because judging is just a toss up now. You got 49-46 is,
Yeah, yeah.
that's
How
crazy.
was that? That is crazy, man. I have no idea how someone gave him rain of 49-46. That's insane.
That's
Yeah,
it. Is that a
yeah,
conversation you got to have with your coaches when you strategize for fights?
yeah, I mean, we talk about it all, and nobody wants to go to the judges' scorecards. No fighter goes in there and says, I think I'm going to win by decision. We always try our best to finish the fight. I think going back to the judges, man, we need to put them in a soundproof room away from cage side, somewhere in the T-Mobile Arena in the box office by themselves, no cell phone, and recorded. Have them recorded and see if that helps a little bit, man. I think they're persuaded by the crowd, by perhaps the announcers that they can hear they're sitting right next to when trying to judge these fights. I think they need to get away from the cage side in the soundproof room, have them on video with no distractions, and maybe we start there.
Yeah, understandable from your perspective because you've been in some iffy decisions in your career.
For sure, yeah, yeah, more than I'd like to count.
Yes. I think they should start it with at the Apex, which are exactly what you're talking about. They should probably do it at the Apex because they have the money to do it, man. They should try at least, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
absolutely, man. The T-Mobile has box office seats. You go up top, get put in a little soundproof box office and watch the fight that way.
for sure. And going back to your opponent, Kennedy, who do you have to emulate that type of body style and that, just that fighting style?
Yeah, so we actually just had a new kid. When you come to Factory X, you have to try out for the team. And we had a kid. He's 6'5", real long, crafty martial artist. And you have to come in. You have to do a push-up test, a pull-up test, a sit-up test. And you have to run 3 miles in like under 22 minutes before you can join the team. And he's trained at the gym a long time, but he's never passed that test to be a part of the pro team. And his name's Derek. I don't know his last name. I just know his first name. He just passed it, and I've been working with him for the past couple weeks. It's been really good. It's been a really good look. But as far we have bodies in there, man. We have Josh Frimt, who's he fights the week after I do, and he's a big guy, big middleweight, 6'4", every bit of 6'4". Rob Wilkinson, fights for the PFL, and unfortunately he's out. But another big body that I'm training with. Anthony Smith just came back to the gym, and of course we got the guys, like Austin Jones and Cody Brundage and Julian Marquez. Just bigger guys, big bodies. The height, that's been a factor. But again, Josh Rim 6'4", Rob Wilkins 6'4", Anthony 6'4". We got a bunch of guys. Like I said, this new Derek kid, he's 6'5". So the looks that I've been getting are quite good.
Man, it's a 4 month turnaround around that much time. You know what I mean? Was that something that was really embedded in your mind that you needed to like get back in there as soon as possible after your last fight?
Yeah, man, it's just I've had a couple hiccups in a row, and I want to get back into the winning side of things and get a victory in there, man. I had the unfortunate split decision loss to Khalil Roundtree that 15 to 16 panelists had me winning, and then I had the tough loss to Asnat Mirzakhanov when I finished that fight really strong. So it was one of those things where I didn't want to rush it too quick. In a sense, I needed to let my head heal, which I did for about 30 days. Get my wits about me. I did get dropped in that fight, so I didn't want to go right back into sparring right away. But I definitely want to get in there and get that victory and get back in the winning side of things.
Even though you didn't get the result you wanted, the last round you had a good showing. Do you carry that momentum, into this fight?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Again, I had the unfortunate split decision loss, and then I was 15 seconds away from beating an undefeated Russian guy that's knocked everybody out, and he's now number 8 in the world.
Yeah.
And I don't lose to Khalil Roundtree. I don't lose to him. We're talking about timing is everything. I mean, you
Yeah.
need guys. We need contenders in the light heavyweight division to fight for that title. So the time is now, man. There's no greater opportunity. So many of the guys in the top 10 are out, and that would be right there, and that's super. It's empowering and it's inspiring, but it's also humbling and discouraging at the same time. So I just want to get back in there, get a win, and get back on the winning track.
How much is positive thinking? Looking at everything on the glass half full side of things. Is that very important for a fighter, or do you think the negativity drives certain fighters?
Well, negative thinking it will affect you negatively every single time, man. You got to have a good positive mindset. Mindset's everything. You know, if you can see it, you can believe it, you can achieve it. And I'm big on the on a powerful mindset and believing in yourself and having the confidence, man. Without confidence, you can't do anything well in this life. And you got to have the confidence on your side. You got to have the belief in yourself and your team and your coaches and you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. And I've got a great team at Factory X. I've got a great team at Land Out Performance, and I've got a great management team. So I've got the right people around me. Now it's about going out there and executing. You know, I'm prepared. Can I execute? And that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, and it's crazy what you guys have created at Factory X. I think like 5 years ago, just looking back 5 years ago, Factory X had a couple guys, but now it's just flooded. And then you guys don't even take everybody in. That's
Yeah,
you told.
yeah, well, exactly, man. We don't even take everybody in, and we've had a lot of guys, great fighters, leave. You know,
Mhm.
unfortunately, it just wasn't the place for them, and you know, Mark, our coach, is big on culture and having a creating a culture that we can all live up to. And you know, not everybody's down with that type of system, and you know, it's not for everybody, to each their own. But we do have a pretty strong culture at Factory X, and we've got a lot of contenders. We've got a lot of great guys in the UFC. And we've got a lot of great up and comers. So it's a special place that we have over there.
With the momentum, with the mindset, what are your expectations out of yourself against Kennedy?
Man, I want to go in there and I want to get a finish. I want to go in there and beat this guy decisively and go ahead and get back into that my run to the top 10, man. I was right there. I was so close. And it's not over. It's far from over. You know, I'm still an entertaining fighter. You know, I do well in my fights. I don't just go in there and lay down. You know, I give it my all, and I won 6 fights in a row, man. You can't take that from me. And I went to a tough draw with Kutlaba, and Kennedy finished Kutlaba, so I got to go in there and get a big finish of him, and just continue to climb the ladder.
Yeah, and now the rematch with Pereira is a possibility because he's moved up to 205. You're never gonna go down to 185, so we could talk about it now, right? Because you guys are both in the top 10, top 15.
Yeah, top 15. You know, he's obviously fighting. He's got a tough fight the week before me, and if he wins, he's right there fighting for the title at 205. So again, man, yeah, there's a lot of matchups there in the top 10, top 15, and the division's wide open. You know, he could very easily come in here, beat Hyon, and go fight for the title. You know, so yeah, and you know what's funny is he reached out to me about training together and getting some work in, which I told him, man, I would definitely like to do. I think it'd be good for me, for my career. I think it'd be a good test for him, and I think it'd be great for the both of us, man. It'd be really cool to get that training in. But with us fighting so close together, I didn't want to leave home. I didn't want him to have to leave home. You know, we have to be comfortable getting this close to our fights. So maybe we train together in the future. Maybe we fight in the future. Who knows? I know one thing. If I'm fighting him, I'm doing something right, man. He's at the top of the world, one of the best strikers in the world. And yeah, I wish him the best against this fight coming up the week before me.
Definitely, definitely, man. I would love to see you guys train with each other, man, because I see Alex training all over the place. You know what I mean? So him at Factory X
Yeah,
would be a sight to
that'd
see.
be that'd be super cool, man. He's always welcome, and you know that's you're talking about one of the best fighters walking planet Earth right now, man. And it'd be great to get some work in with him.
Yeah, man. Well, before all of that, August 5th, UFC Fight Night, Nashville, in front of the crowd. This is a solid matchup. Thank you so much, Dustin, for the time, man.
Yeah, thank you for the time, man. Like you said, that's another thing. You know, when they offered me this fight, they were asking, "Do you want Vegas August 12th? You want Nashville August 5th?" I'm like, "Well, Vegas is probably a fight night at the Apex, and Nashville and August 5th, Nashville is probably at the Bridgestone Arena. I want to go where a crowd is, man. I love fighting for the fans. I love a big crowd where it's another main card fight. So I'm really looking forward to it, man. Like I said, I'm prepared now. I got to go out there and execute."